everyone. I'd be barking too, Marley. Hello everyone, my name is Chris Quinlan. Welcome to Melbourne Musos Facebook Live. And I have to tell you, I'm getting a bit tired of doing these tributes. We've lost Wayne Shorter. I was getting ready to do a funny show today and had it all planned out, and then I just saw the newspapers and last night, and there you go, one of the greatest saxophone players in jazz. One of the most wonderful people as well, when you get to hear his story. And tonight's show is dedicated to him. Now, there's a few things I'll go through, as I always do. At 89, you can only celebrate his life, but that doesn't make it much easier when you've spent half your life studying his music. One of the reasons I've got these patches is because of him. Just off camera there is all my vinyl, let alone the CDs. They'll be up behind me with the final show that'll go to Channel 31. So everything's dedicated to Wayne Shorter tonight. And what I'll do is I'll get stuck straight into just talking about this wonderful man. Hoi! There we go. Wayne Shorter. Wayne Shorter, 25th of August, 1933 to last night, March 2nd, 2023. He was an American jazz saxophonist and composer. Shorter came to prominence in the late 1950s as a member of and eventually primary composer for Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers. In the 1960s, he joined Miles Davis's second great quintet and then co-founded the jazz fusion band Weather Report. He recorded over 20 albums as a band leader. I don't have all 20, I've got a number of them. I've got all the Miles Davis second great quintet albums right behind the camera there, which is the picture on my Facebook profile as we speak. And most of the Weather Report ones too. There you go. And genres: modal jazz, crossover jazz, post-bop, hard bop, jazz fusion, third stream. There you go. Tenor saxophone, soprano saxophone was his two main instruments. And as I said, when you talk about Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, Miles Davis, and then Weather Report, you're talking about one of the main guys, you know. There you go. Many Shorter compositions have become jazz standards, and his music has earned worldwide recognition, critical praise and commendation. Shorter won 12 Grammy Awards. He was acclaimed for his mastery of the soprano saxophone since switching his focus from the tenor in the late 1960s and beginning an extended reign in 1970 as Downbeat's annual poll winner on that instrument, winning the critics' poll for 10 consecutive years and the readers for 18. The New York Times, Ben Ratliff, described Shorter in 2008 as probably jazz's greatest living small group composer and a contender for greatest living improviser. In 2017, he was awarded the Polar Music Prize. There you go. Now, one of the things that when you're talking about those life and times and stuff, I started off with brushes, of course. But he was the saxophone player with some great drummers of the time. Now, one of the things is when you're talking about Art Blakey, I'll take the patches off for a second. When you're talking about Art Blakey, back in the day, doing all the jazz stuff, and well, still am, but when I was trying to be a starving jazz musician with all the different things in the early 80s. And yeah, memories. And what it was, we used to joke about Art Blakey bombs. You'd be playing hard bop like nothing on pretense with Art Blakey. Bang, 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 bang. Oh, really great stuff. Art Blakey bombs. Bang. Bang. Bang, bang. There you go. Real dynamo. There you go. And then he went from there to Miles Davis. And your drummer there was the late, great Tony Williams. And, so young. I think he started with Miles Davis when he was 15. And the reason I'm talking about this is because of dear Wayne Shorter passing away, and it is a drum-orientated show, as you can see, but I rattle in a bit of harmony as well, based on triggers and things, you know, all the technology. But anyway, there you go. And with Tony Williams, he really started some of his stuff on the albums, you know, like Miles Smiles and Nefertiti. You know, Pinocchio, these standards. I've got them here. And these are Wayne Shorter songs. So I've got the real book right there. Oh, there you go. But, doink, there it is. Mwah, for everybody. I've even got volume 2 over there. But Wayne Shorter's songs are littered inside the real book. There's your Pinocchio. I thought I'd just print them out. Oh! Times I've played that. We did a blistering duet once. Peter Marladet and I did a blistering duet on this once at the Footscray Community Arts Centre. Oh, I wondered at the end of it whether I'd broken every cymbal by the end of it. There you go, Pinocchio. I love that song. That's off... what's it off? Oh, my Lord, Miles Smiles. There's Nefertiti, the title track, another Wayne Shorter song. That particular one, getting into it, when you listen to it, they play the head throughout, and Tony Williams on drums just gets more and more, and it's like the repetition of the melody and then the drummer being able to bring it out like bang, like that sort of stuff. Go off and listen to that. That's wonderful. And then another title track, Wayne Shorter, ESP. And all that incredible stuff. Early on, 1965, there you go. And some of his Latin stuff, El Gaucho, there you go, there's that. El Gaucho's off one of his solo albums. And I've got Juju in the Next Room, his album, and that has Elvin Jones on drums, his Juju album, and Juju here. And wonderful stuff. I'm going to come back to this when I go to the harmonic part of the evening, and there it is. But the influence of Wayne Shorter is absolutely profound. When we start talking about things like, if I'm just going to talk about his drummers, the people that, you know, drummed for him through these times into the 70s and throughout. There's a funny story I got told in the 80s, but I'll get back to that. And so what happens is, when you're talking about Tony Williams, one of the things with that, and he was a kid, I mean, started just as a kid, teenager. Like, so you've got that really pushy, but what he started to do, bring the hi-hat in on four on the floor, basically, you know, and really pushy. There's a track on 4 and More. I think it is the title track, 4 and More. we can hear him sort of really pushing to the point of rushing, and then you just hear the hi-hat going chick, 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 all the way through. Normally, for jazzers, you're playing 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Not Tony. There you go, straight through. Boy! There you go. And his cymbal sound is of legend, to the point where while Tony Williams was still alive, the Zildjian Company, Tony, could we borrow your cymbals as a template? And that was the new Zildjian Ks that came out, I think, back in the 90s, mid to late 90s. And they used his... as soon as you put on Miles Smiles or Sorcerer or ESP, any of those, you just hear the cymbals, and it's just like the cushion of sound. You already knew the band was going to be great, just with whoosh, like that sort of stuff. And, I'm talking about another brand. I play Meinl. I used to play Peisty, and, they're all fantastic. But when you start talking about... It just always sounded like rain to me, just like that. It's just incredible. And that's what Wayne Shorter would and Miles Davis would solo on, that kind of thing. I'm going to keep on reading for a little bit here. And as I said, for those joining now, this is a tribute to Wayne Shorter. I was planning a funny show today, but no, as soon as I kept to myself most of the day. And then I went into a little bit of research, and the first thing, Wayne Shorter passed away last night. So that's it. There you go. Wayne Shorter was born in Newark, New Jersey, and attended Newark Arts High School, from which he graduated in 1952. He loved music, being encouraged by his father to take up the clarinet. As a teenager, his older brother Alan played alto saxophone before switching to the trumpet in college. While in high school, Wayne also performed with the Nat Phipps Band in Newark. After graduating from New York University with a degree in music education in 1956, Shorter spent 2 years in the US Army, during which time he played briefly with Horace Silver. After his discharge, he played with Maynard Ferguson. In his youth, Shorter had acquired the nickname Mr. Gone, which later became an album title for Weather Report, which is over there. I didn't pull it up. Too many. I'll have about 30 albums behind me. So they're up there, somewhere there. Find it. There you go. And career. His early influences include Sonny Rollins, John Coltrane, and Coleman Hawkins. In 1959, Shorter joined Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers, as I mentioned before, where he stayed for 4 years, eventually becoming musical director and composing pieces for the band. Together they toured the US, Japan and Europe, recording several albums. During this time, Shorter established himself as one of the most gifted of the young saxophonists and received international acknowledgement. He just went bang like that, and that's where Miles Davis got him. Herbie Hancock said of Shorter's tenure in Miles Davis's second great quintet. You know about that? Miles Davis is known for having he's done a lot of stuff, but he's known for 2 great quintets. And the first great quintet was through the mid-50s. He had albums like Milestones and, Kind of Blue. Yeah, enough said, really, all that biz. And then he went, he did a lot of work with Gil Evans. Sketches of Spain and a few others, Porgy and Bess, wonderful stuff. They're all there. And in the other room, not with Wayne Shorter on it. And then the second great quintet. There it is. And this is what Herbie Hancock said about him. Wayne was one of the few people who brought music to Miles that didn't get changed. Davis said, Wayne is a real composer. He writes scores, writes the parts for everybody, just as he wants them to sound. Wayne also brought in a kind of curiosity about working with musical rules. If they didn't work, then he broke them. But with musical sense, he understood that freedom in music was the ability to know the rules in order to bend them to your own satisfaction and taste. There you go. There's that little bit. Now I'm going to talk about that a little bit. All right, in this short show. I could go for another hour and a half on the great man, but I won't. I'll just do my normal show because when I put it to Channel 31, I hate cutting things out. So I'll just keep it to like that. But with that, with his harmony and stuff, I'm going to go sideways. What happens, I've talked about, I'll just finish off the drumming bit. One of the things is with Tony Williams, or with Art Blakey, the Art Blakey bombs, ooh-yah, like that, bang, bang, like that. Go have a listen. You wouldn't get a gig in Melbourne. I'm sorry, I'm a bit facetious there, sorry about that. Tony Williams, all four. But on his solo albums, especially with Juju, I had Elvin Jones, and he's my other go-to drummer. Back in those days, I had a bit of tunnel vision for Tony Williams and Elvin Jones. I finished talking about Tony Williams' cymbals. What I loved about Elvin Jones's playing is his integrated style. A few weeks ago, I did the Jim Chapin book, Advanced Techniques, and you've got Jim Chapin, the doyen of that kind of independence where you almost like you just keep the jazz rhythm going and cut yourself down the middle and it's like your left hand's completely solo, is Max Roach. People like Max Roach, that kind of thing. It's almost like independence, one side doing one thing and left side doing all the other business. But what happens with Elvin Jones, he integrated it. So one of the best things you can do to sort of get inside Elvin Jones to a certain degree in his style is just practice your triplets like right, left, left. Right, right, left. Put them all together. So he'd be going. Like that, roughly, and away you go. He did lots of other things too. But that's the one thing, that roll, and just rolling. It's just like, and then when you're hearing, Love Supreme, all these kinds of things that he's on, and all the main John Coltrane albums, if you want, you just hear this rolling, waves of rolls, triplet style, just a continuous flurry, that kind of thing. And that's what you got there. Wonderful stuff. And there you have that. Now, I'm going to talk a bit about harmony now. When you're looking at some of these charts, let me get them. Okay. Now, what I've got here is there's a few of them here, but I'm going to pick, there's one right there, but I'm going to go to Nefertiti for a start from the real book. And what it is when you're looking at the first chords, okay, you've got A flat major 7, sharp 11, D flat major 7, sharp 11. Second line, B major 7, sharp 11. E flat 7, sharp 11. A flat 7, sharp 11. Okay, what the hell is a sharp 11? Lydian mode. Let me go into a little bit of theory for you. What happens is that you have your standard scale tones, let's say a major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the octave. And then if you take the fourth, and you put it into a chord, it's a sus4. Okay. And there you have that. And then when you take it up an octave, that becomes a compound interval. Okay. And some people are finicky. What happens is you could play the standard D sus4. And then someone's going to say at one point, man, get out of my way. Usually a piano player said, you're playing a sharp 11, you're playing an 11th there. Drop it an octave, that kind of thing. Or get out of the way of the singer, that kind of business when you're up in their range. Sometimes you want to put the fourth, inside the first octave, so you're not getting, it's not getting all clunky and whatever. Arrangement, getting clear arrangements, Artie Shaw, a big band, was always great with clear, pristine arrangements, that kind of thing. I always found I really loved Artie Shaw's big band because it was just clear and clean. And then when I did all my orchestration and arrangements and things, you get to know a few tricks, and inversions, that kind of thing. But anyway, let me get back to this sharp 11 business. What happens with sharp 11s is you're sharpening the fourth, the sharp 11, one octave higher. Now, if you take a major scale, and then instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 octave, you're going 1, 2, 3 sharp 4, 5, 6, 7 octave. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. It was on 31 the other day, overtone scale. But that becomes a Lydian mode. Now, I've already talked about a Lydian mode, and a lot of you already know about a Lydian mode out there. However, one thing that I'd like to bring up at this time is a chap by the name of George Russell. Back in the 50s, George Russell was a music theorist. And I'll put them back on, so I'm doing the harmony part of the evening. And what he came up with was a thing called the Lydian chromatic concept. Now, the reason I bring about this, because he developed this theory that all things really go back to being a Lydian mode when you actually do all the theoretical stuff. We know most things best as a major scale, but he posited a theory that it's really the Lydian mode. There's a few Irish people out there, Irish musicians, say, wouldn't you think it's the Mixolydian? Because half their jigs and reels are based on a Mixolydian mode. But a Lydian mode with the sharp 4, take it up an octave to a sharp 11, is Lydian based. Now, the people who used this, it was central planks to the music of John Coltrane and Miles Davis. All the modal concepts beginning with Kind of Blue. So if you just love the sound of the album, most people just say, I just love that sound. Work out what the sound is. I often say to my students, you give me your 5 favourite bands or songs or singers, and I'll tell you what scales you like. If you said to me, I love early Led Zeppelin, that kind of thing. Okay, learn your pentatonics. Okay, fine. Blues scale and everything else. If you like Metallica's And Justice for All album, learn your modes only in a heavy metal way. If you really like the music of Wayne Shorter, go away and have a good listen to tunes that are based on this Lydian chromatic concept by George Russell. Like I said when I was reading the bio, he would learn music and then know what rules to break. If you haven't got any rules in your head to start with and you think, oh, I'm just breaking all the rules. No, you're not. You're being a bit of a dill. So I'm being a little bit out there tonight because I've lost one of my favourite people. And I'm going to keep reading. And what goes on is this sharp 4 business really takes on a whole character of its own. It creates a style. When you're listening to 60s jazz, you can hear a style, a movement. You can hear everyone going for something new, that kind of thing. And then what happens is you study it, you try and take it on, you move forward, that kind of business, and then it just becomes a part of your language. And for me, it was a wonder. When I was listening to Tony Williams and Elvin Jones with Coltrane, when I go and try and find, what is it with this song? Why do I love it so much? Wayne Shorter. What is it with that song? Wayne Shorter. That kind of thing. Wayne Shorter. And it was just like Herbie Hancock said of him. He was the only guy that came into the band and Miles didn't change a thing. No, there it is, Wayne, let's go. Bang, there it is. So, Ian Carr, musician and rough guide author, states that with Miles Davis, Shorter found his own voice as a player and composer. Blakey's hard-driving, straight-ahead rhythms had brought out the muscularity in Shorter's tenor playing, but the greater freedom of the Davis rhythm section allowed him to explore new emotional and technical dimensions. There you have it. He started to go from tenor saxophone to soprano saxophone in the late 60s, and by the time he got to Weather Report in the 70s, he was exclusively playing the soprano saxophone pretty much, and there you go. Now, he's got his solos. I could keep on going forever and just take it on board. Just wonderful, wonderful man, and wonderful music as well. Now, I haven't really talked too much about Weather Report, but what happens, he founded it with Joe Zawinul and Miroslav Vitchuos, but when Miroslav left in the early 70s, basically it was Wayne Shorter and Joe Zawinul's baby, and they made some great albums. The ones I really like are Heavy Weather and Black Market. I've got a whole range of them. I even got the live in Tokyo, the early 70s, just the Japanese pressing over there. What you have then is some wonderful people. There was a line of great musicians. Probably the most well-known is Jaco Pastorius, but just wonderful musicians. There was a little bit of a roving rhythm section there for a while. I wondered if the band was a bit hard on drummers there, but let's leave that for another day. But I want to get, with the time that I've got, I want to go to his private life, because this is sort of important, okay? This is what he had to deal with. He's a wonderful man, don't get me wrong. Shorter met Toruku Irene Nakagami in 1961. They were later married and had a daughter, Miyako. Now, if you have a close look at the charts from the real book, I'll put it up to here, Miyako Music. There it is there. Can you see it? That's his daughter. He named it after his daughter. All right. I'll keep on reading. Let me see. Some of his compositions are copyrighted as Miyako Music. Oi! And Shorter dedicated the pieces Miyako and Infant Eyes to his daughter. The couple separated in 1964. Now, Shorter met Anna Maria Patricio in 1966 and they were married in 1970. In 1986, their daughter Iska died of a grand mal seizure at age 14. Anna Maria and the couple's niece Dalila were both killed on July 17, 1996 on TWA Flight 800 while travelling to visit Shorter in Italy. Dalila was the daughter of Anna Maria Shorter's sister and her husband, jazz vocalist John Lucien. In 1999, Shorter married Carolina dos Santos, a close friend of Anna Maria. The Shorters practiced Nichiren Buddhism and were longtime members of the Buddhist Association, Soka Gakkai International. Here it is. Singer and actress Tina Turner credits Shorter with saving her life. Sorry about this. It just gets me, this one. In Turner's 2020 spiritual memoir, Happiness Becomes You, she states that Shorter and his wife Anna Maria provided Turner with critical refuge at their home for 6 months after Turner left her abusive husband. Wait, Turner in 1976. Shit, I got to play. Oh. Sorry. The reason I have this, it's the lithium mode, like I said. It's something I use quite a lot. On the patch itself is the grand piano. Can be quite dramatic, just like this goddamn sharp. And to start to finish off, I'll leave it there. I don't want to do too much, and I want to get it all on channel 31. And what it is this guy just keeps on going on. I'm just look at what he's been able to do. And it should be a celebration, but it's still sad. And it just came on me. This one was a surprise. I was literally, this is the kicking in the guts kind of show, because I was going to do something funny and all that, and had it all lined up. And then I made the grand mistake of actually tapping on the paper. And that was the end of that. So what I'm doing here is trying to, give you an idea of just how important this man was. One of the things I'll leave you with is an app that I use all the time, Air, by Peter Chilvers. And it's his beautiful Celtic voice. And lo and behold, it's in Lydian. So I'll close out the show.